Hey everybody, welcome to the Baxter Building. We've got a great video for you that really dissects and analyzes the synergies as well as other gameplay and damage output for Invisible Woman as well as Namor. And before going anywhere, if you could do me a massive solid by hitting the like button as well as hitting the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel with post notifications on. Thank you. And the video in question that we're going to look at is done by MCOC Journal, that is done in conjunction with Ultriox. Link is in the description. The first thing I want to bring to your attention is this here. One way or another, I'm going to find him. I'm going to get you. It's a song. Any case, what does it really mean? We've got limbo increasing. We've got regeneration increasing. Indestructible. These things are absolutely amazing for these characters. In particular, I'm really excited to see what happens with limbo. If limbo increases, that's a slight little buff for magic. But the one that impresses me as well is a big fan of Sabretooth that I am. Having regeneration increase, especially with a champion, that you want to see that regeneration really stack up more. And yes, you do have the Old Man Logan synergy, but it's going to be exciting to see pairings with this to improve these champions. Here's where things get very interesting. We all know that this is going to be Reed Richards here, but what is this one and what is the next one? This particular synergy, Till Death, I think points to a storybook arc, which was all about a future version of Invisible Woman and the two types of futures and presents colliding. In fact, in that, Dr. Doom was released from some sort of imprisonment and as a result, killed Invisible Woman. So is that point there, Till Death, have any association with it? Likewise with the theory state of things, I think that Unfazed points to potentially Silver Surfer. However, though, that could all change and I could be completely wrong. I'm just tying in with things that I think would be kind of like to these characters. Silver Surfer is very much unfazed. He's focused on what he has got to do, his tasks. I don't think it goes big as Galactus, but definitely points to that thing Till Death being something that could be associated with Doctor Doom, and we all know the associations with the two characters and basically the similarities in some sort of abilities. So could this be Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom teased for the future? So let's make that the question of the day. Who do you think these other question marks are? Do you think it could be Doctor Doom and Silver Surfer? Do you have your own theories based in comic book tie-ins as well as Kabam's sort of canon for what they're doing with stories? Have your say in the comment section below. Next up, and cue that sentiment where, you know, you're with someone for a while, they've been talking to somebody else behind your back and you're like, oh, you know, what's happening with this person? We're just friends. And in fact, they're rutting. Dude, you need to do something about this. She's obviously cheating on you. Maybe do something spontaneous, like change your look. Much better. Women love a nice beard. The main thing to come out of the video is just the assurance of what's going on with the pre-fight ability. That looks pretty good, improving attack rating. Not to mention the confirming of the stats, which we already looked at over the weekend. We get a full look at the model build, which looks pretty darn pristine, and a fight equally as fun. Going in a very much defensive based stance, with that force field being up, but you can see the extent of damage being quite tasty even at a 565 level. One thing that is really important is to pick up the extent of defensive aspects. So the way that the champion didn't really take much damage when you were being on the defensive line. So the left Invisible Woman is obviously the attacking one and the one that's being more defensive is on the right. But hitting up an L3 does put in an extensive, a huge amount of damage. Even this L2 doesn't seem to do much damage on the champion. So it is really going to be quite a hard slog, and champions that have debuff effects may be better for the situation. But defensively, Invisible Woman looks incredibly sound. Moving on to Namor, and it does seem that there's some real improvements to champions that are old, really darn old. In particular, Moon Knight. Obviously, by having Moon Knight in your roster, when you're fighting against any champion and you've got Namor as your lead champion, you're going to see improvements. But also touching on this kind of like Moon type scenario with Moon Knight and the kind of different moons meeting different kind of effects. It's kind of cool that we've gone back to this, but I don't know if this is going to be necessarily something that you'll concentrate much on. It would just be a case of like, okay, got the champion in, let's fight, let's not care about this, let's just get the enemy done. The big news for me as a big fan of King Groot is that King Groot gets a slight buff if he's with and paired with Namor. So I'm excited to see the improvement of special attack damage. Yeah, kings of the world. I definitely feel like a king of the world now. Although it's kind of obscure for reading things so far, it doesn't seem like there's any positive effects in here for Namor. It seems like it's very much centric for these in the Synergy group, which is kind of weird. And as well, there's stipulations of there must be the champions alive, and I think it's maxed by 54%, which I don't know really kind of implies that. Does this mean that even if you put a 40% revive on one particular person, which obviously gets you up to 40%, you're still lacking about a further 14 more percent. So, how does that work? Is that necessarily fair? Is it not? Does it mean I have to then put more health potions on? Man, it is annoying, but still, if you're looking for champions that really utilize in Variant 2, having the synergy in with increasing the damage with special attacks, it's going to be quite fun. It may even mean that I might try and shoot for Namor and kind of go, right, well, should I delay a little bit with doing Variant 2 based on the fact that I can get more special attack damage with the bonuses of improvement that you get in Variant 2 for utilizing King Groot and as well Kingpin. Or maybe I'm reading completely wrong and it's got to be a case of the max that you can claim that particular improvement in special attack is at a certain point. So if you drop below this point, then you cannot have it. It has to be above that point. So yeah, I think there needs to be like a stern clarification by Kabam on this. Like, do you need to be above that in order to claim it or below that? Because the same thing applies with Hulk. Hulk is an absolute powerhouse when he's awakened, and the Hulk smash when he's below a certain percentage means that he's going to be damaging output a huge amount. And just imagine you've got an increased attack rating, so that is going to be pretty darn incredible. So on the face, it doesn't look like any synergies really do add any kind of improvement to the champion. It's all based on abilities. Something that I really wanted to see and I was quite excited to see the extent of is special attacks, the regeneration aspect. 6% of missing health. That is actually quite good. I didn't expect it to be as much as that. I thought it to be a little bit less than that, maybe something about like 2%, 3%. But if you're regenerating 6% a time for special attacks, and let's just consider you're spamming loads of special attacks. I'm also thinking about the champion to go up against this, maybe someone that could minimize health and healing, because let's face it, if this guy's going to be spamming specials, you're going to need someone to then take down the extent of regeneration, especially if Kabam puts some kind of nasty little node, which they might do. Also to note, as we discussed in the abilities on Sunday, the extent of bleed is actually not too bad. And as well, the extent of outrage must be quite extensive that you build up, that you must then absorb. Now let's look at some gameplay. As you can see, the first thing is the build up of outrage, which is incredibly important. The enemy, when he's on the back foot, the right is the defensive one, the left is the attacking force. You can see he's built up to an L1 very quickly, hit that regeneration. Didn't look like it did any kind of real difference, but we'll see how things scale as we go on. The build up of outrage, you can see there, 10 aside. It's building up incredibly nicely. Obviously the attacking side of things is building up quicker, hitting with the L2, the stuns are nice. God damn, that's some tasty damage. But from a defensive perspective, he's building up that L3 very quickly. He's got 16 outrage at the moment. We're going to wait for this amazing L3 to hit in. Now the animations are on point. This is one thing that everybody has said. This is absolutely amazing. A real credit to Kabam here, what they've done. It's very much got this reminder of like Injustice, but there's a lot more efforts going in, and that huge amount of damage off their L3 with the extent of outrage on. My God, that's impressive. And as well, you've got the attack rating increase, that Fury, over to the right hand side. But as well, you see the regeneration was there as well. Just to highlight that point again, the attacking champion started with 93% of his health remaining. And after the SP3, the champion had 36%, which meant 57% damage off the health pool of 30,240, which basically equates this damage to be 17,236 damage. To some people, they may go, that's not quite impressive, especially compared with other champions that do huge amounts off of L1s and L2s. However, though, some of those champions do not have bleed ability. They don't have inner workings of other improvements. And I think this doesn't really show the extent of the damage that we could possibly get out this character. I think in the next couple of weeks, we'll really get an idea of how much Namor can actually do for the community, whether it's going to be on comparable, better, or a little bit worse than Cull Obsidian, which, let's face it, that is the hot champion at the moment in the game. So I am, fingers crossed, hoping this guy is going to do that. Bit disappointed with the extent of Synergies not being that much of a boost to the character, but maybe that's implying that he doesn't really need the Synergies and it's all about the character himself being very powerful. Storm has great offensive characteristics, and I do feel that because it's going against two types of Invisible Woman, you don't get to see the extent of how much a damage output can be, but it does show an amazing showcase for the extent of defensive properties. So maybe this champion is going to be a real frustration and could be a real strong Alliance Wars defense option in the future. And before we end the video, let's quickly do the character fact of the day. So it's all about Doctor Doom. One of the strongest and most useful weapons built into Doctor Doom's armor is his electrical field. This allows the outer surface of the armor to generate up to 100,000 megavolts of energy, which Doom explained to Namor when the two battled in giant-sized supervillain team-up number 1. This is mostly a defense mechanism. When Victor enables this, anyone who touches him has energy sent through their body, causing serious damage to the hero or villain who dared to attack him. It is very powerful, but Doom has needed to continue upgrading it as it doesn't always work, as Fantastic Four issue 319 showed that it had no effect on the Thing when the two grappled in the negative zone. So there we have it, guys. That has been the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button and subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content. Keep up to date with the news that's going on in the community by hitting up this playlist here, and don't forget to catch up with some recent content down here. And also don't forget to subscribe to my second channel, which does very much different stuff to the Marvel Contest of Champions, as well as comic book stuff that you see on here, called Stormbreaker Gaming. Yes, I know that the name is very much Marvel-ish, but it's a hammer, it's an axe thing. Just subscribe. Thanks, and see you later.